Hi, welcome to the low FODMAP diet. My name is Carrie. If you haven't met before, this channel is about being low FODMAP for IBS and also vegan. Now, I started this channel closing in on 2 years ago, not quite. And at that point I just started the elimination phase, and I've done the re-challenges now, and I haven't been low FODMAP for all of that time at all, because there's an end goal, and that's understanding your personal tolerances and then coming up with kind of simple, practical rules you can use to then manage your symptoms. So I wanted to share with you my kind of results and how that then translates to modifying your diet and not being super strict, not measuring portions forever, and just, having a good time. I hope this is inspirational if you're about to embark on the admittedly difficult elimination and challenge phases. We're going to go through FODMAP. So F stands for fermentable. It applies to all the different fibres and sugars I will discuss. O stands for oligosaccharides. There's two types, galacto-oligosaccharides and fructo-oligosaccharides. So personally, I have quite a good tolerance with galacto-oligosaccharides. I can have a high portion. Don't mean to brag, but I can. But if I have it on consecutive days, it starts to stack up and it becomes a bit too much. So my general rule is that if I have a high portion one day, I won't the next. And then I'll have a high portion the day after that, and then I won't the next. And it just means it never gets too stacked. Now the fructans, fructo-oligosaccharides, with the veg, think like onion, garlic, that kind of thing. I can have a pretty high FODMAP portion once a day, and that's okay, for 2 days, and then on the third day I need to have a break because it does get a bit too much, but that does give me a lot of leeway in terms of eating out and getting food on the go. Similarly with grains, I can have really high FODMAP portions, again, sorry, I don't mean to brag, but after 3 days it does become way too much. So if I'm on holiday, for example, and there's very limited choice, or I'm like in Italy, thing like that, if I have pizza for 2 days, absolutely fine. If I have it for 3 days, I look like I'm pregnant and my tummy is not happy. So then I know on the third day I'm always just going to have like rice or potatoes and chill with the high FODMAP grains. For fruit, I'm pretty good. Again, I can't have like loads, and I just generally don't, just because personally there aren't that many fruits that are really high in oligos, and usually it's like bananas, and I can manage having like 1 ripe banana a day, so that's just what I do. Sometimes 2 if I'm feeling crazy. Now the D in FODMAP stands for disaccharides. It's referring to lactose, and for ethical and environmental reasons I prefer not to eat dairy, so that one I just avoid. So the M stands for mono-saccharides. It basically, it means one sugar, and it's referring to fructose in excess of glucose, just because of the way it's digested or absorbed and then fermented. I'm really quite sensitive to this, so even when I did the challenge, the first serving was enough to give me symptoms. I do think it's improved since then, so I will be doing another challenge of that, I think. But yeah, I do risk it, especially as I'm eating lower FODMAP in general, not like low FODMAP but lower. I'll have like a mouthful of something nice, like mango or apple, just because it's good, but I know I'm like playing with fire a bit. The A stands for and, so that's really the easiest one. Now the P stands for polyols. They're alcohol sugars. The big players are sorbitol and mannitol, and on their own I'm really good with them. I don't have an issue, but I kind of discovered by doing combination challenges, which is part of the re-challenge phase, if you need to. And although I'm fine with polyols on their own, like I could eat a big bowl of sweet potato, but if I then combine that with lots of onion and garlic, it really messes up with my stomach. So if I'm eating really high sorbitol things or mannitol, for both, I tend to just have it at home when I know I can limit the amount of other FODMAPs with it. But if I'm eating out, I might not choose those. So translating this to a very typical day, not that I really have typical days because who does, but I'll usually have a relatively low FODMAP smoothie. I'll put oats in it, I'll put flax seeds, I'll put low FODMAP berries, but I will have a ripe banana. Ooh. And then I tend to snack on low FODMAP fruits, nuts and seeds like that. It really depends, like if I'm going out for dinner, I'll try and have a low FODMAP lunch, but if I've just made stuff, it tends to be not that high FODMAP and something I can manage. And if I start to feel like my tummy is getting close to misbehaving or getting a bit bloated, beyond what is kind of normal and comfortable, then I'll just tone things down quite a bit for a few days, and that usually works. Whereas before doing any of this, I used to eat, like, I would start my day with apples and pears, which are really high fructose, and I'd eat lots of wheat, lots of bread. Even if it's whole grain, like I'd eat a lot of like rye bread, because I was like, oh, it's very healthy, but really high FODMAP. And I'd have, if a recipe said 1 clove of garlic, I'd be like, I'm putting in 4. Like, that was kind of my usual eating, so I was just always stacking up the FODMAPs like crazy. So just kind of knowing when and where it's worth it, and when to take a break and step back and have those lovely potatoes, it just means that I can eat mostly what I want, but also not have the symptoms I don't. Like, personally, I think my tolerances are quite relaxed. It can be stricter, it could be a lot looser, it could just be one particular FODMAP you have to limit. But I hope this shows that you can kind of still have a normal life without crazy strict rules, and you really don't have to be measuring stuff, especially as you get very good at like eyeballing portions. But yeah, I'd be really interested to hear what kind of rules you've developed for yourself to kind of keep things in check without being really strict. And know that if you are about to embark on the elimination or challenges, like, it is difficult, but it's worth it in the end. And yeah, check out my channel for resources. I also have an online course I made with a dietitian with like meal plans and lots of things like that, called Your Well Gut Project, so I'll link that as well. But I'll see you in a couple of weeks with another video, and until then, take care. Bye.